the album's called New Day, and that kind of sums up the theme that runs through the tune. So like when you wake up in the morning, it's a new day. There's a chance to I don't know, like be a better person. There's a chance to start fresh. There's a chance to honor our past as well. There's a chance to just maybe do better. Or there's a chance to also understand ourselves a little bit more. So,
this is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, this is Kate Clover.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Hi, my name is Madeline Rose.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
It's Tim Howard here from Mike and the Mechanics.
Hello, I'm Amanda Lehman.
I'm Billy Harvey.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Casey Sampson from the band Twist Stop.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Mitchell.
Hey, guys, it's Matt here from The White Lakes.
You're listening to Almost Famous Magazine.
Come join us for this interview. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hello, welcome back to The Hang right here on Almost Famous Magazine's YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone, for the support, the likes, the comments, ringing the bell just like you know you should, subscribing, sharing this with your friends. We appreciate all of the encouragement that we get from our viewers, as well as the help you give us in getting these hangs out to other people. So thank you very much. Today we've got a great hang. I'm going to be hanging with Joe Lapinski he's a St. Catharines, Canada-born musician. We might talk about, I don't know, Molson's. We might talk about cheesies. We might talk about poutine. I don't know. Sky's the limit. But he recently released a new wave rock single called Hurt a Bird, and he's got an album dropping in late June. I always love to talk about things in Canada, as I grew up near Canada. So I think we're going to have a great time today. Joe, welcome to The Hang.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Scott. Thanks for having me.
I mean, do you eat Hawkins cheesies? Because let me tell you something, they're addictive. Yeah,
for breakfast, actually. It's a good way to start the day. And I try and eat a healthy breakfast, but I do love those cheesies. And yeah, thanks for bringing them up.
Oh, well, hey, if it wasn't for Tim Howard of Mike and the Mechanics, I'd have no idea what they were. I have smuggled many a bags over to the UK. Let me just say that. I have smuggled many a bags of cheesies overseas. So
that's awesome.
The people at Hawkins things I've spoken to the people at Hawkins. They think I'm nuts. It's I may be. So hey, but we're here to talk about you today. Although we can talk about different types of poutine and where to get it as well. So I love to start these at the beginning so I can get to know you.
Sure. When
you were younger than you are today, did music find you or did you find music? What's your story?
Music definitely found me. Like with a lot of people, it was thanks to my parents. Like my parents were always playing music, recorded music, and I got a nice mix of different styles. I'm pretty lucky that way. So like my dad was into the Beatles, Elvis. But then he was also into big band swing music. So I'd be listening to the Beatles at one point, and then we'd be switching over to Benny Goodman. And then my mom, on the other hand, was listening to like the Bee Gees and like dance music that had kind of a funk aspect, like disco music. And I'm also a child of the 80s. I grew up like, most of my upbringing was in the 80s. So think of all the hits that were playing on the radio. And we listened to the radio all the time. There was also lots of classical music playing in our house too. And yeah, I kind of got everything. So when it came to like finding my own, the music that I gravitated towards, it like I already had a great foundation of are already some like amazing music. Also being like Eastern European, like I was born in Canada, but like my mom was born in Germany. My dad's family was Polish. like there was all of that music playing too, which is all dance music, right? Like polka music. It's just about dancing. It's high energy. So, and being in St. Catharines, the home of the polka king, Walter Ostanek, who's won like, I don't know how many Grammys for polka music. I don't believe it's a category anymore with the Grammys, but he's here in St. Catharines. And like, I worked at his store, his music store for a bit. I've had the pleasure of playing with him a couple times as his guitarist, where we played Roll Out the Barrels for maybe an hour straight on the back of a float going through the Niagara Wine Festival parade that happens once a year. Yeah, Roll Out the Barrels for an hour at least. It might have been an hour and a half, nonstop. Yeah, so there's all that music that was like part of my upbringing. So when I got to like having some money, some allowance to buy my own music, like to make my own decisions, like the first album I bought was Tears for Fears, music from the Big Chair, right? And which I still listen to this day. There's something about that record that still resonates with me. You know, some of the production's a little dated. It kind of doesn't matter. Those guys were the top of their game on that record, and the writing is fantastic, addictive hooks, all that stuff. And then, I mean, from there, like I just kind of kept discovering more music, which led to like. There was a great music store here in St. Catharines called Station to Station, named after the David Bowie album. And the folks who owned this shop were so cool. They named their store after a David Bowie album, you know, and not his biggest album, you know, like, they were so cool and so like pivotal for me in introducing new music to me. So like in that store, I discovered Frank Zappa. I discovered Brian Eno. I discovered David Bowie there. I discovered the Butthole Surfers there. Like they were like giving me all this music, and because they would let you listen to it in a listening space with headphones. So that's what I would do. And then I'd bring the CDs that I wanted to buy to the counter. Sometimes I didn't have enough money, so I'd come back later and pick them up. But like, yeah, lots of music always around me. And it definitely dictated where I wanted to go musically. So like where my influences are and what my music sounds like. Yeah.
Wow. You know, I remember those days. I mean, it sounds like you grew up with the music store out of High Fidelity, if you know the movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, these folks were like, it was the husband and wife, and they had a son who at the time might have been like 19, and he dressed like he was in the band Bauhaus. Like he wore all black. He had white dyed hair that was spiked, and he acted like he was in that band. And but the parents, the mom was the woman who really like, she was the one at the counter going, "Hey, yeah, you really like Ziggy Stardust, eh? Well, I think you're ready for this." And would like slide like, I don't know, Brian Eno, Another Green World to me. Like, here you go. I think you're ready for this now. And she was great. You know, being also like, I was like, yeah, I had a bit of a crush on her because she was like so influential on me, you know, like it was just like, wow, she is awesome. But yeah, you're right. I was very lucky to have that shop nearby for sure.
You know, I kind of miss those days when people like that were kind of our first, they were our first music algorithm for suggestion, if you think about it. And the human aspect of that, of the way they got to know what we were listening to and then making recommendations like that. I kind of miss that. Right. And
I know. Yeah.
That's kind of one of the reasons, like, and we'll get to it a little later. We'll talk about some people you're listening to, because I really think that sharing what we're listening to and what we think other people might find cool is super important. Because these algorithms, they think they know what you like, but they don't know it from just kind of talking to people and hanging out like we're doing today.
Yeah.
So you recently put out a new single, "Heard a Bird." Interesting title. Love the rhythm. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what was the germination of that piece of music? Where did it come from for you, and how did you put it together?
Yeah, I had written kind of the beginnings of the tune, I think about three years ago, and I at the time I didn't know what the song was about. I had like the beginning lyrics already written, which are I don't ever want to hurt a bird, no matter what you've heard. Like that was written right from the beginning, and uh, and I knew it was going to be kind of this like slightly poppy, like indie new wave type of feel to it. And so I started kind of like piecing it together. And my co-producer, Dave Clark, who's also the drummer on the track, who's a phenomenal musician, phenomenal producer, and like his resume is pretty great in its own right. But we started recording it before I even finished the lyrics, and because I wanted to kind of like see what the drums and what the rhythm could dictate as far as like what the song could be about. So we started tracking that, and we kind of realized like we could really tighten this tune up. Originally, it was a bit longer. I think I had a second bridge, like a whole other section in it that is not currently in the tune. And we tightened it up. And once that happened, suddenly, like the words, the meaning started to take shape. And so, like, as far as the words go, what it's about, it's basically about treating all people around you with love and kindness, no matter what they are, who they are, what color they are, if they are LGBTQ plus, if they're trans, all of that. Like it kind of was sparked here in St. Catharines. Like there was some folks protesting a local school board to not allow trans kids to use the bathroom of their like what they identify as. And I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I was just thinking, man, if that was my kid, I would be so upset at these adults protesting whether my kid can use the bathroom or not. So that's like, that's my feelings on it. I got very emotional about it, kind of like as I started writing, and suddenly I knew what the song was about. I'm like, oh yeah, Heard a Bird. Like these vulnerable youth are like birds, and they're beautiful. They're all beautiful. All people are beautiful. Like there's beauty can be found in everyone. And so I just wanted to kind of express that. I wanted to say, like, even you, like folks, if you have a hard time accepting other people's identities, maybe, you could work at it. You could, we could go deeper on it, turn the mirror on yourself type thing. But, hey, like it's just about being kind to people. And that goes a long way. This day and age, I feel kindness, and I try and remind myself every day to just be kind to folks who might need it, more than you do. Like I'm fortunate. I grew up in a safe household. I grew up like with the privilege of kind of knowing my identity, even though like we discover our identity throughout our lives. But like, so it was a little easier for me than a lot of kids these days who are having trouble, and I really feel for them. So that's the main theme of this song for sure.
Oh no, that's a great story. Let me ask
Thanks.
you this. On this album, I mean, that's very introspective. It's very thoughtful lyrically. is this album. Tell me about some of the other songs, and is there a theme to your lyrics? Is there a theme to the songs in this album that kind of thread what you just were talking about, that whole idea of kindness, and that we are all, we're all good people, and I mean, what's the album about? What's going on there? And yeah.
Yeah, totally. The album's called New Day, and that kind of sums up the theme that runs through the tune. So like, when you wake up in the morning, it's a new day. There's a chance to I don't know, like be a better person. There's a chance to start fresh. There's a chance to honor our past as well. There's a chance to just maybe do better. Or there's a chance to also understand ourselves a little bit more. So yeah, there's a nice range of songs on this, and they're not all heavy duty introspective tunes. There are some. So I've got a song called Light on the record that is about trauma that can happen to ourselves personally in our lives, or it could be intergenerational trauma. Like that's like, I'm not saying that stuff outright in the tune, but that's what it's kind of inspired by. But then I've also got a song called Bike that is just about the feeling of riding a bike. And it was inspired by my daughter who's learning how to ride a bike. And like that kid, I say it in the song, that kid's got a need for speed. And she gets that from me. Like when I get on my bike, I love the feeling of that freedom. I love on a hot day, like the sweat, the feeling the sun on me, all that stuff. So I tried to describe that in that song. I've got a song that I sang to my wife on the altar at our wedding called To Be Yours. And that is kind of more of a mantra, just about just being in love and finding love and letting go to love. I've got a tune called Big Beautiful on the record. Is one of the first songs I wrote for this album, and it is inspired by moments of kind of I guess loneliness. Like during the early parts of the pandemic, there was, I think a lot of people felt a feeling of loneliness, and everyone reacted to that a little differently. But I was lucky to be able to, near where I live there, like I live close to Lake Ontario. So we're close to the water. In fact, you can look across the lake and you can see Toronto. Toronto's like the major city in our province right there, just across the lake. And I was there with my daughter, and one of my best friends lives in Toronto, who is the co-producer of this record, Dave Clark. And my daughter really looks up to him. And, we'd be standing there on the edge, and it was, again, moments of, feeling maybe loneliness or isolation, and she would just say, "Hi, Dave," to him across the lake, like, "Can he hear us?" And I'd be like, "Yep, he can hear us." And I wrote that, kind of affected me in a big way at the time. It meant a lot, just that wave meant a lot. So that's what that song Big Beautiful is kind of inspired by. And yeah, so it's kind of like a lot of, New Day. It's a lot of the tunes just have to deal with like this maybe living in the now, in this new moment. Like the now is new. Every now is new. And if you think about it, if you want to get philosophical about it, right? So, but hey, people can listen to it and make their own, come up with their own conclusions on the tunes and how it makes them feel. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about interpretation. You've got a lot of great messages there for this album. I'm kind of curious, in your catalog of music, right? Your overall catalog of music. Do you feel, because we live in a day and age where you don't listen to an album back to front the way you used to, right?
Mm-hmm.
We live in this world of, you sample a song here, you sample a song there. Regardless of singles that you've released, do you feel that there's one song that really defines you as an artist, that if I was to be introduced to you and your music, that's the place I should start?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm really proud of my first single, Heard a Bird. Like, that to me is a good, quick way to get to know me and my music. And then if that was like, okay, I'm getting to know Joe a little bit. If you wanted to flip to something else, on the new record, the song Big Beautiful is this other, it's a slightly different sound. It's not poppy, new wavy at all. It's got more of, I don't even know. It's a little more gentler. It's more expansive. It's more soundtracky sounding. Um, and I love that. I'm a sucker for that kind of production as well, where we get nice, big, wide sounds. It sounds great with headphones and the whole thing. And, on the new record, if you listen to those two songs, you could definitely get to know who I am and where I come from musically and production wise. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Where you come from musically. Off the top, you mentioned, some of the things that you listened to when you were younger, but who would you say are some of the biggest influences on you, or have been on you, to create, your sound? You've taken ingredients, you're making a stew, right? What are some of those influences that you're like, okay, I want to be, I like this, I want a little of that, but I want to find a way to make it my own? Who have some of those influences been, and what are the impacts they've had on you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, early on for me, if I'm like going back to high school, some artists that I was obsessed with in high school were um, The Who, like, just how they combined, like, they don't pretty much, you could argue they invented punk music in a way. They were so aggressive, alive, yet so passionate, yet and emotional. And, it's no wonder that they wrote musicals as well, like Tommy, or Quadrophenia was a huge one for me. Something that told a story and was kind of dramatic. So yeah, The Who, Pink Floyd was big for me. But then I started getting into like Frank Zappa was a huge influence on me. Like, just the way he could arrange music and how it was so out of the box. And Brian Eno was huge for me. He still is, like, to this day. Like, I recently he did a songwriting workshop through the School of Song. And I was lucky enough to take that. And it was just mind blowing that I could be watching my screen and there's Brian Eno talking to me. Yeah, who else? David Bowie was huge for me. And on this new record, before I started doing a vocal take, I'd always ask myself, what would David Bowie do? Like, because he delivered vocals like no one's ever touched what he could do. And he could do it in one or two takes. Like, when you read books about it, it's like, yeah, he would nail it in one take. It's like, wow. Okay. So those guys were big. And then, I don't know, my taste started, like, going towards like some jazz. So John Coltrane, I love Miles Davis, Alice Coltrane, Thelonious Monk, those guys, like, and gals, like, were very influential for me. And a lot of funk and soul music, like Curtis Mayfield is a hero. Like, I love his messages, like his lyrics to me are very influential. How he, spoke about love and kindness, showing love and kindness. Like, it's not rocket science, folks. Let's just do it. Bob Marley was big for me. And then we get into like bands like, I'm not sure if down there you've heard of the band the Rheostatics. They're a Canadian band. Everyone should go look them up. They were huge for me because they combined the Brian Eno, the John Coltrane, the Who. They combined all those bands into one band, and they've got a great album. If someone's listening and wants to look up the Rheostatics, Rheostatics, look, listen to Whale Music. That's the album. That's one of my favorites. And my co-producer Dave Clark was their drummer. He was their drummer on that record. So how lucky am I to work with one of my heroes? And what else? Like Wilco is a big influence. I love Wilco, how they kind of combine that folk, country, rock, yet, especially when Nels Cline joined the band, suddenly things were getting a little more out there and a little more improvised. And I really enjoy that band. I've seen them live a bunch. I love the band Dirty Projectors. If you've heard of them, they're a fantastic kind of band that breaks a lot of barriers. They've collaborated with Bjork before, so that should tell you something. It's like kind of avant-garde yet still accessible. I feel like very listenable stuff. Yeah, what else? Like though, a lot of those acts. Oh, Neil Young. I can't forget Neil Young. Neil Young is a huge influence on me. Just because that guy, I don't know, he just did his own thing, like he still does. He's going to do a folk record. Next, he's going to like get together with Crazy Horse and just blow the roof off the place. And then he's going to do a new wave record. And then he's going to do a country record. Really, I really admire Neil, and being Canadian, it's really great. Like he's yeah.
I was just going to say, isn't that required by law to be an aficionado of Neil Young as a Canadian? I mean, there are certain
Absolutely.
bands that you have to like. You've got. I mean, love your taste, love where you're coming from with a lot of these. I mean, the Brian Eno thing always blows my mind, because when you look back into especially the 80s and 90s, the work with Peter Gabriel, the work with he was with U2.
U2.
Yeah. I mean, he's really touched so many musicians, and yet never really recycled the same old thing. Every album that he produced, every album that he worked on, all new, very exciting, very great energy and vibe off of them. So I totally understand the Brian Eno thing. And then look, I mean, there never will be another Zappa. I mean, Night at the Roxy. I mean, you nailed it. If you get through that, you go, wow. I wish he was here just to talk to him about getting into his mind, about really where that stuff came from. Unfortunately, toward the end of his life, most of what he was talking about were politics and things like that, and less about the music, unfortunately, because he's one of those where you just want to like, wow, I want to understand it all. I want to understand it all for sure.
I'm so with you. And like, I'm sure you have too, deep diving on old interviews, or interviews with his musicians are just as insightful, because they'll tell you exactly what he was after musically. And just a little note, if you want to deep dive on Frank, like if you haven't done it yet, listen to the box set for Hot Rats that came out 3 years ago. One of my favorite records by Frank, Hot Rats, but they released like all the different takes of the tunes, and you can hear him in the studio actually like telling his band, instructing his band how he wants it to be played from take to take. So you can actually hear the development of a song. It's like you're a fly on the wall in the studio. You can hear him say, hey, do you mind playing it a little faster here? Or can you put more emphasis here? And then the band just comes alive. Anyway, I love that. I love Frank. He's one of my heroes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot, I've asked a lot of touring musicians, what's been the hardest thing that, they've ever had to learn musically for a performance. And and I would love to sit down with some of the people who have or had worked with Frank, because from interviews you see and things like that, it was a different type of challenge to learn how to play the way Frank wanted people to play. They would come into this situation where he would stretch them so far that they'd be working all day, and then they'd practice into the night to get to work all day to try and figure out exactly how to do it and repeat it so that Frank was happy, because he was challenging to satisfy because of the expectations and demands that he had. So it's definitely a deep dive you can get down on with Frank Zappa for sure. And like I said, I wish he was here to still talk about it.
I know, because there is a generation. Well, there's us like who have been fans for years, but there are new fans who, are also new musicians who are learning how to play his music, and it's just kind of bonkers. Like I love reading those stories. Steve Vai, a young Steve Vai being hired to be in the band, and he's transcribing songs on the plane to his like first rehearsal. Like he's writing the notation, or like people like Lowell George were in his band, but didn't last because of what we're talking about. He was like, I can't, there's only so much rehearsing I can do. And he went off and started his own thing. Why can't I remember his band? Lowell George. Yeah. Oh my God. Sorry. Can't think of his band.
And then there's Chester Thompson who left Frank's group to go play with Genesis. And Phil Collins tells the story when they did Afterglow Live of this fill that Chester would do on Zappa's Night at the Roxy, that they took it and they threw it into the live version of Afterglow. So I mean, Eno, Zappa, I mean, they touch so many musicians. It's really we could literally probably spend hours on this just hanging out to talk about it. But what, we are here again to talk about you and your new album. So we've hit the halfway point of the year with the new album. What does the rest of 2025 have in store for you?
I'm gonna play some shows. I'm not too sure how far out those shows are going to go. I don't think I'll be coming down your way, but probably sticking to Southern Ontario into Quebec, maybe the East Coast. So there'll be some playing and some more writing. One thing I learned by doing this album is, it takes a long time to make a record, or it can. So I promised myself for the next record, I would stay on top of it with the writing and producing to get it out there a little quicker. And so I'll be working on that. I also am going to be the music director for, I'm not sure how many folks have heard of the Tragically Hip down there, but a lot of people have heard of the Hip. Yeah. So Gord Downey left a legacy. And so here in St. Catharines, I'm the music director for this Gord Downey Legacy Night that we do at the Performing Arts Center. So I'm putting a band together, and we're going to be playing one of his albums. And we'll be giving tribute to him and what he did for Indigenous peoples, as well as like what he's provided to the music community as well. And so that's something I'm really excited about. And that's later in the year. I'm busy. I'm doing stuff. I also run a recording studio here and in St. Catharines. So I'll be working with some artists this year and getting their music out. So there isn't a dull moment.
No, absolutely doesn't sound like it. I like the fact that you're not planning on pulling like a Peter Gabriel, and we're gonna have to wait 9 years for your next album. So I like that, because I like what I've heard so far, and I can't wait for more. One thing, and you've mentioned a lot of people, so you may be pulling from here on this question, or from there on this question, but if you had a chance to get into a studio with one other artist for a day that you would love to create with, You have one day to do it. Who would that one artist be, and why would it be them?
Yeah. Well, yeah, his name has come up a few times. Like Brian Eno, I think, is someone like after doing that songwriting workshop with him, even that felt like I was there with him and he was kind of guiding me. But I would love to just hang out with him and create art with him and let him kind of guide me in directions that I've never gone before. I feel I could trust him. I think a lot of artists have trusted him over the years, and his approach to making art resonates with me. How it comes from within, but you also have to trust yourself to go to completely new places that you've never gone to, and do it a lot. And really just don't just set your sights on one thing, set your sights on 1,000 things and see what works and see what hits. I really like that. So he's someone that, man, if budget wasn't the problem and he was available and wanted to work with me, I would be there in a second. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, look, now we've put it out there, and you never know who's watching and what could happen. Stranger things have occurred. I mean, we know that people who've seen this have made connections through this podcast. So I think that
awesome.
If any of you out there are good friends with Brian Eno, make sure he sees this. We believe in supporting artists. We are strongly committed here at The Hang and at Almost Famous Magazine to supporting artists through purchasing tickets to shows, merch, and their music. While streaming services are a nice way to sample, supporting an artist financially so that they can continue to create is very important, and it's harder now than ever for musicians to actually make money off of their music, right? I really don't necessarily see you having enough money for gas to get to a gig if you get 38 cents from Spotify. So everybody go out, buy Joe's new album. It's available where? Where can we buy your album?
If you go to my website, which is joelapinski.ca, you'll find the store there. So, and it's available through Bandcamp as well. So those are kind of the best spots to purchase music, whether it's a digital download version of the album through Bandcamp or vinyl or CDs. This album is available on vinyl and CD as well. And those are vinyl to me is the best format to purchase it in. And so in fact, I've got it right here. Why don't I show you?
Oh, check it out. I love that art. This is great. So absolutely. I love the fact that you've got a vinyl version of it. And I'm going to go out on a limb and have never met you in person or been in your home. But I got to imagine that somewhere else where you are right now has a lot of vinyl stacked up against walls, because you definitely have an encyclopedia of musical knowledge to the point where you have to have something like that. I would make an assumption on that.
Yep. So. It's in there. It's in there. I've been asked to clean it up once in a while too. And I look at it and I think, I should put that pile that's like that listening pile. I got to put that pile away so I can start a new listening pile, all that stuff. You're right. I've got a collection. Yeah.
Well, that leads us to something that we love to kind of wrap these up with. And I'm glad you have a listening pile. Why don't we kind of dive into that listening pile? Who are 2 or 3 artists in your current listening pile, and why are they there?
Oh man. I like recently, I'm loving, and not necessarily on vinyl, but like I like been listening to, like Tortoise. Tortoise is another band that I really love. Big influence on me. They just released a new song. So that made me really happy because they haven't released something in a very long time. Another band from that kind of same family is Stereolab. I love that band as well. They just released something new too. Similar deal. Like they haven't released something new in a very long time. So it's great to see these bands who have influenced so many of today's bands, like releasing new music. I'm loving Neil Young's latest release, even though it's an old album that he is putting out for the first time. It's called, sorry, I'm just reading the title because I forgot it. Oceanside Countryside. That's really great. I love that he's done that. He's kind of going back to his old catalog, but also going to his archives and finding stuff he's never released. So that's pretty great. What else am I listening to? Hannah Cohen is a songwriter that I really enjoy, and she put out an album called Earth Star Mountain that I'm really enjoying. I recommend that, and that's a headphone record. Listen to that with headphones. It's very lush, and she's got a great voice. It kind of is more on the folk end of things. Yeah, what else? I don't know. Those are kind of like recent standouts for me.
No, I think that's great, and I've learned of someone new to listen to. I mean, I love having an opportunity to hear what people are doing, and the fact that you said that last one's a headphone album, that is something I'm definitely going to check out. I love what some artists are doing with their soundscape to immerse you into the music. Ali Ferguson does that really well with a lot of earth sounds within his music. So I'm definitely going to check that out. And everybody, look down below in you know where to find it in the descriptions. There will be links so that you can buy Joe's music. You can buy the album version in vinyl if you're a vinyl collector or you're even just starting out your vinyl collection. Definitely a listening experience to be had. Joe, this has been great. Like we could probably go for hours deep diving on so many musical tangents awesome. that we probably bore the people that are watching us talk. But
we'll clear the room.
Yeah, totally clear the room by the end of that podcast. And we really didn't even get to talk about Molson's Labatt's or Poutine. So we're going to have to do this next again. Time. Absolutely, because there's going to be a next time because that new album is going to be on its way sooner than later. You're not going to pull a Peter Gabriel on everyone. No. So I appreciate you making time for me today. This has been great. Everybody go out, buy Joe's album, listen to his music, keep supporting your artists wherever you are, and keep returning for the hang because we really enjoy just hanging out with people and having these conversations. So Joe, it was great to meet you, get to know you, and I look forward to us doing this again sometime.
Thanks, Scott. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
absolutely. Everybody be well till the next time we hang. Take it easy. We'll see you soon.